Last time we checked out some handheld Mario games, but there were too many to fit in one single video. Here are more handheld Mario games. In 1994, Nintendo released Donkey Kong for the Game Boy, which was a surprisingly great game. 10 years later, in 2004, a successor was born. Mario vs. Donkey Kong is a revisit of the Donkey Kong concept, featuring the eternal rivalry between Mario and Donkey Kong. At E3 in 2002, a game named Donkey Kong Plus was revealed, giving players the opportunity to create their own levels. The game mysteriously vanished the year after and ended up being Mario vs. Donkey Kong for Game Boy. The Create Your Level feature was removed though. In Mario vs. Donkey Kong, you control Mario, who is pursuing DK through a toy factory to rescue the mini Mario toys. Wait, what? No princesses? Well, that's original, I guess. The gameplay is very similar to the classic Donkey Kong for Game Boy, giving you the same sweet moves such as the side flip and the handstand. Each stage is separated in two parts. The first part is just like the original Game Boy game, requiring you to find a key and bring it back to the keyhole. The second part is brand new. It requires Mario to find a mini Mario toy. Then, there are the Mini Mario stages, which require Mario to guide those Mini Marios to their toy box. Finally, every world is finished with a clash versus Donkey Kong. The amount of Mini Marios you saved will be your life bar for these fights. The game was very well received by critics, generally saying that it was a tribute to the old Donkey Kong game, while being an evolution for the franchise. Mario vs. Donkey Kong would become a franchise of its own, releasing a lot of sequels on the Nintendo DS. E3 2004 was home of the reveal of Nintendo's next big console, the Nintendo DS. This new console, which featured two screens, one being a touchscreen, would be home of a new 3D Mario game. Well, calling it new would be a lie, it's actually a remake. But calling it a remake would be a lie too. It's kind of a reimagination of the classic Super Mario 64. This game is based off Super Mario 64, but adds so much it's almost a new game. Unlike the N64 game, you are not limited to Mario for a playable character. You can play as Yoshi, Luigi, and Wario. The general storyline remains the same. Peach invites Mario to her castle to eat a delicious cake. When Mario arrives, this time with Luigi and Wario, they enter the castle. Yoshi, who was sleeping not far away, awakens a little bit later. After getting the key to enter the castle, Yoshi realizes that his friends have been imprisoned and he must save them so they can get the Power Stars back and save Princess Peach. The original idea from Mario 64 has been kept intact. You enter paintings on the walls to access worlds and you have to collect stars. This time though, 1 star per level has been added, as well as new secret castle stars, making the grand total to 150 stars to collect. As mentioned before, you can play as 4 different characters. They each have their own abilities and special power-ups. Mario can turn into a balloon and float in the air. Luigi can become invisible, Wario has the ability to turn into Metal Wario, and Yoshi can breathe fire. These abilities come from collecting a power flower, which is usually hidden in a block. Caps of Mario, Wario, and Luigi can be found in the worlds, and getting them will transform your current character into the character the cap you picked belongs to. When you collect a cap, you gain all the moves and power-ups the character who owns the cap has. New stages have been added. Those stages are usually relatively short, containing a few stars and a boss. Defeating said boss will give you a key used to unlock a new character. Aside from the original game, Super Mario 64 DS features a versus mode, where players can play locally via wireless play. This mode requires players to collect the biggest amount of coins and power stars in a limited amount of time. There's also the Rec Room, which contains various minigames using the Nintendo DS touch screen. Super Mario 64 DS was commercially successful, selling about 9.6 million copies worldwide. It was met with positive reviews from game critics and received a couple of Editor's Choice and Game of the Month awards. The main complaint almost everyone had was the lack of an analog stick on the DS, making the control feels a little bit sluggish. Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2 March of the Minis was released in 2006 for the Nintendo DS and acts as a direct sequel to the Mario vs. Donkey Kong on Game Boy Advance. The game begins with the grand opening for the Super Mini Mario World amusement park. Mario gives Pauline a Mini Mario toy, and Donkey Kong gives her a Mini Donkey Kong toy. Pauline decides to choose the Mario toy over the DK one, and Donkey Kong becomes mad. He storms off with Pauline. Yup, like that will get her to love you, you dumb monkey. Mario, too lazy to save another princess, decides to subcontract the saving to his Mini Marios. March of the Minis is a totally different game from its predecessor. No longer do you control Mario using the D-pad, instead you have to guide the Mini Marios using the touch screen. It's very similar to the Lemmings game. The game contains 8 worlds, each having 9 levels, a minigame and a DK stage. The goal of each level is to guide the minis to the final door while collecting the cards to get more points and eventually unlock the minigame in each world. The DK stages consist of using a cannon loaded with Mini Marios to shoot DK and defeat him. Every time you touch DK with a mini, he loses a hit point, but if he manages to break one of your mini, you lose one. Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2 was generally well received by critics, despite not reaching the results of its predecessor. It wouldn't stop the series though, as a lot of new games would be later released for this franchise. Yoshi's Island DS was released in 2006 for the Nintendo DS and is a sequel to the original Yoshi's Island on Super Nintendo. The story is very similar to the first game, having Baby Mario and the Yoshis trying to rescue Baby Luigi from Kamek and Bowser. This time though, Baby Peach and Baby DK are part of the story and will help the Yoshis in their quest. Later on, the group meets Baby Wario and Baby Bowser, who eventually leave the party for the final showdown. The gameplay in Yoshi's Island DS is very similar to the previous game, with some new additions. Yoshi can still jump and flutter for a short time, eat enemies and turn them into eggs, and shoot them, and he can still ground pound. You can still transform into different vehicles at some special stages by jumping inside the magic bubble. Once again, Yoshi has no life bar. Instead, when you get hit, the baby you are carrying is turned into a bubble, and you have a limited amount of time to retrieve it. As mentioned before, there are more babies that will help Yoshi, and they each have their own abilities. Baby Mario allows Yoshi to dash and make special M blocks appear. He can also become Super Baby Mario when he grabs a star, and also gives Yoshi's eggs the ricocheting ability. Baby Peach allows Yoshi to float and glide on wind, and makes the flutter jump easier to perform. Baby DK can grab and swing on vines and ropes, allows Yoshi eggs to explode, and grants him a special dash attack. Baby Wario can use magnets to attract metal objects, and allows Yoshi's eggs to bounce. And finally, Baby Bowser can spit fireballs. The game uses both Nintendo DS's screen, making it very tall. You can see things on the top screen and shoot eggs from the bottom screen to get them. This is pretty much as far as it goes in terms of dual screen usage. Yoshi's Island DS was very well received, receiving positive reviews, but was also criticized for staying too close to the source material, meaning that those who played the original game may not find many additions. The game sold about 2.9 million copies worldwide. Mario vs. Donkey Kong Minis March Again is the sequel to March of the Minis and was released as a downloadable DSi title via the DSiWare. The story is very dumb. Mario and Pauline are selling mini Mario toys, and there is a long line of people who want one. Donkey Kong is far back in the line, and when he finally reaches the front of the line, there is no more toy for him to buy. He gets mad and decides to capture Pauline again. Mario decides to get the help from the Mini Marios again. Minis March Again features the same type of puzzles found in the previous entry, once again similar to the Lemmings. You don't control Mario, but use the touchscreen to guide the minis to the end of each level. This time though, you can guide miniature versions of Mario, Princess Peach, Toad and Donkey Kong. There's a slight difference in gameplay this time, as you have to get all of the bonuses. They are not optional like they were before. The game features the construction zone once again, which lets players create their own levels and share them online or download others. The game didn't receive much acclaim, as it was only a downloadable title for DSi. A lot of people skipped it. Nintendo World Report praised it for the level creator, saying it's much more customizable than the previous game. It mostly just felt like an expansion to March of the Minis. Mario vs. Donkey Kong Miniland Mayhem was released in 2010 for the Nintendo DS and is a direct sequel to Minis March Again. The plot is even dumber than the last game. This time, Mario and Pauline are sponsoring the grand opening of a new theme park named Miniland. Donkey Kong is the 101st visitor to arrive and is denied the famous 100th visitor prize, which is a mini Pauline toy. Donkey Kong, who is super mad, decides to capture the real Pauline instead. Mario and the Mini Marios then chase him to rescue Pauline. The gameplay of this game is pretty much the same as March of the Minis, which is to guide Mini Marios using the touchscreen and then defeat DK at the end of each world. The construction zone is back and you can still create and share your levels with your friends. The game was well received just like its predecessor, getting mostly praise from casual gamers enjoying the addictive puzzles and good level design. It would not be the last entry in the series. In 2011, screenshots for a new Mario game being worked on for the 3DS were revealed. Little was known about this mysterious game other than the fact that the Tanuki suit would probably make a return because it was visible on the game logo. We had to wait until the trailers to get a full unveil. Super Mario 3D Land was released for the Nintendo 3DS in 2011 and stars Mario in a quest to rescue Princess Peach once again. Super Mario 3D Land is a 3D game as its name implies, but it doesn't follow the usual 3D Mario game formula. No stars to collect in this one, folks. The game is separated into various stages that you have to complete to advance to the next. To quote Shigeru Miyamoto, it's a 3D Mario game that plays like a 2D Mario game. In each stages, players have to collect 3 star coins to unlock later levels. To complete a level, you have to reach the end and grab the flagpole, just like in the old school Mario games. The traditional Mario power-ups make their return, such as the mushroom, the fire flower, the Starman, and the Tanuki suit, which last appearance was in Super Mario Bros. 3. Mario can also retrieve the boomerang suit, which allows him to throw boomerangs. He can grab the propeller block, which allows him to propel himself high up in the air and slowly glide down. If you die 5 times in the same stage, the game gives you the invisibility Tanuki suit, which makes you invulnerable to any enemies. And if you die 10 times, which means you really suck by the way, you receive the P-Wing, which clears the level for you. The game features 8 worlds, and once those 8 worlds are cleared, you unlock the 8 special worlds. The game contains 96 levels in those 16 worlds, making it a long game for a handheld platform. Super Mario 3D Land makes good use of the Nintendo 3DS 3D effect, making sure that some obstacles or points of interest are much more noticeable when the 3D is turned on. It also uses the Street Pass function to let you trade mystery boxes with other players. These mystery boxes usually contain some star coins or some items. Super Mario 3D Land was very well received, receiving positive reviews ranging around the 9.5 out of 10 mark. The game has been praised for the excellent level design, its good use of the Nintendo 3DS, and has been named the best 3DS game to have, before Fire Emblem Awakening came out and snagged that title. It has sold 5.8 million copies as of March 2012. We saw a bunch of Mario games, 3D platformers, 2D side-scrollers, puzzle games, spin-offs, etc. One genre didn't get featured yet and deserves its prime time. Join me next time as we take a look at all the RPG games starring Mario.